In the middle of the cold and raging ocean, where the waves are as high as mountains and the wind howls endlessly, there is a profession that requires courage, endurance, and a steely spirit: king crab hunting. In this video, we will follow the brave sailors witnessing the entire journey of trapping, harvesting, and processing king crab, a rare seafood that brings high economic value, but also in return for sweat, blood, and even life. After hours of releasing the cages in the rough sea, the crew began the most important step: pulling the traps up. Each cage weighs hundreds of kilograms and is pulled meter by meter from the cold depths of the sea by hydraulic cranes. Crabs fell from the cages with a loud crash, the sound of their claws hitting the iron cages. The sound of the waves and the shouts of each other created a lively, urgent atmosphere. They didn't have much time to rest. Each haul was a race against the weather. After being filled into large steel trays, each king crab is quickly picked up by the crew, checked for size and sex. Only those that meet the standards large enough, of the right type, are kept. The crew uses a specialized V-shaped measuring stick. If the crab's shell does not reach the minimum length required, or if the crab is a female carrying eggs, it is immediately released back into the sea to ensure natural regeneration. After many hours of resting on the deep seabed, the trap began to be lifted. The hydraulic crane worked at full capacity to bring the trap, laden with king crabs, to the surface. Each mesh was stretched tight, revealing the giant claws struggling inside. Meanwhile, in the ship's processing area, another crew is sorting the newly harvested crabs. Each crab is precisely measured, inspected for condition, and divided into different quality groups: meat crab, baby crab, crab that meets commercial standards, or released back if not qualified. In the pitch-black night, with the cold wind whipping at our faces and the waves threatening to drown us, the powerful lights on the deck were the only thing that pierced the darkness, illuminating the raging sea. The crew continued to work tirelessly day and night. The crane slowly lifted up a heavy cage, shaking under the force of the wind and the weight of hundreds of king crabs crammed inside. The heavy cage, filled with king crabs, was slowly lowered by the crane. The crew, in thick protective suits, worked together to hold and tilt the cage. With a sharp tilt, hundreds of king crabs poured down onto the steel tray below like a living waterfall. The sound of crab claws colliding and water splashing everywhere created a scene that was both chaotic and pleasing to the eye. After hours of working through the night, the sun rises. The sea is as smooth as a giant mirror. But for the king crab hunters, the work never stops. Another cage is brought up from the deep sea. The two sailors on deck work together while one adjusts the hoist rope. The other checks the net and guides the cage into the correct position on the ship. The cage was pulled close to the edge of the ship, and the cage door was opened. A large batch of crabs poured out onto the deck, creating a lively mass of king crabs, wriggling and jostling each other. The distinctive fishy smell of the sea, the sound of claws clattering together, and the heat of the sun added to the tension. Without delay, the sailors began measuring each crab. They used a standard measuring tape to check the width of the shell. Only those that met the regulations were kept. Night has fallen, but the fishing expedition has not stopped. The cold winds and the rolling seas cannot stop the sailors. Two men in thick sea clothes stand on the side of the ship, ready to receive the next cage as the crane slowly lifts it from the black ocean floor. The high-powered spotlights help them see every move, but every move must be done with extreme caution. Under the powerful lights in the cold night, a cage laden with king crabs was decisively tipped over by the crew. The crabs poured out onto the steel tray like a waterfall, the large claws and sturdy bodies of the crabs hitting each other, creating a distinctive, unmistakable sound. The two sailors, one in a red raincoat, the other in a blue one, work together to direct the fall, hold the cage, and control the amount of crabs that fall. There is no room for error. One slip, and they could get injured or lose their entire catch. On the slippery and wet deck, while the sea roars behind them, the sailors keep up the pace of their work. The last crabs fall out of the cage, marking another successful harvest in the harsh night sea. Thank you for following our king crab hunting journey. If you find the video interesting, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next trips. See you in the next video.